outputting whatever design whatever design reinforcement you have to detail your reinforcement, produce drawings that you will share on site that can be reviewed by a consultant or used by a contractor to execute works on site. In day one, we introduced you to Revit. So day two, we are going to take on reinforcement detailing. The best part with Revit when it comes to reinforcement detailing, it's hard to detail in 3D using ordinary AutoCAD 2D drafting skills, but Revit presents another alternative. Whatever you detail, you can visualize it in 3D and see wherever you have crashes and be able to produce the best output. Otherwise, I'm not going to take your session. I'd like to invite a few participants. You share your insights into reinforcement detailing and probably the steps you have taken since day one. Are you getting familiar with the interface? Are you passionate about getting into the BIM world? So feel free to unmute and share. Engineers, I hope I was audible. Can someone just confirm whether I was audible? You can just drop a one.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes. Feel free to interact with us. It's through sharing ideas that we build teams that execute complex projects. So feel free to unmute and share.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, senior
Yes.
colleagues. Yeah, I'm Kenneth from Nigeria. Yeah, I've been using Revit for like 4 years now, though. I learned Revit structure on my own. So this class is just like me trying to assess myself on what I've learned so far. I think it has been a wonderful experience. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Engineer Kenneth.
Hello.
Yes, Engineer.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible, Engineer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the platform. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I once used Revit structure, but it was a long time ago when it was still on itself. It was an entity on itself. And it hadn't been joined with the architectural and also the MEP. So I can say a lot of advances have been made in Revit. So I'm very much interested in how that goes about and to learn as much as I can. Thank you.
Yes, hello.
Yes, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
This is Engineer Umar from Uganda. I'm new to Revit, but it It's very, very good, and I'm getting familiar with the interface. I have tried out what we did yesterday, and the work is flowing. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, Engineer, I've seen a question regarding yesterday's recording. It was shared in our WhatsApp community channel. If you're not a part of that WhatsApp community channel of RoadsHub, you will share your number, we share a link, you will join and access the recording. Yes, someone was speaking. Please, you can go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Engineer Jude.
I'm not yet an engineer. Currently, I'm a graduate engineer in Uganda.
Yes,
So,
you're a graduate engineer.
Yes, I'm working with MBW, and as I did my internships when I was still at university, I managed to interact with Revit for some structure designs. So from there, when I went to MBW, we are actually using AutoCAD, but due to our need for continuous professional development, this was one of the avenues we could exploit so that we could get better in our structure details and our structure designs. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Engineer Jude, for sharing.
Yes, greetings, engineers.
Someone was trying to share with us. Please, can you? Okay. It seems there is someone who wanted to share. Please. Yes, we have shared the link to the RoadsHub WhatsApp community channel where all the recordings have been shared. It's in the chat box. Feel free to click and join. You'll access the recording for yesterday, and the one of today will be uploaded later. In the next 2 minutes, we shall fully begin. So if at all there is someone else who wanted to share something small, feel free to share.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, my name is Oviwe Mshaba from South Africa. So I'm still a starting out engineer and I'm very much new to Revit. I'm hoping that all the efforts that are being done for today are going to be very fruitful, similar to yesterday. And I did try to do the exercise from yesterday, and yeah, I think I'm starting to get the grasp on how Revit works. So yeah, thank you.
Right, engineer. Thank you so much. Yes, we all started from where you are, so don't get afraid. Yeah, we all started by taking that first step from university, and here we are in the world trying to grasp all the new concepts that come on board, the new technology that is there to be embraced and that can change the engineering sector for the better. So don't worry, we have all been there and we've taken that first step. Yes, I see Engineer Emmanuel, I think, is complaining about my network. Yes, it might not be the best. It has just started raining heavily, so it might not be the best. Yes.
Hello, Abraham.
Yes, Captain Gatimo, you can take over. My network is not the best right now.
No worries, Abraham. Thank you so much for the interactive session. Also, thank you to all the participants who are joining today for the second day of our Revit sprint. I hope you found yesterday's session helpful or insightful, and I hope you'll get to incorporate what you learned into your workflows in the future. So in today's session, we are going to be covering quite a lot. So just to walk you through what you're going to be doing, we're going to be creating a shaft opening for our staircase, and I will get to explain what it is, and you'll get to see how it plays out in Revit. We're also going to be creating some staircase thickeners, and then we are going to go into Rebar modeling. So for this session, I'm going to be assuming that we've all been through like engineering school. We know what a rebar is, we know what stirrups are, and we basically know the different functions of the various rebar that you would find in, in reinforced concrete. But before I continue, I'd like to address a few questions from the chat box. I can see from Amirtha Miri, she's asking whenever she mirrors her beams using the detail line, there's a warning message that pops up saying that there are identical instances in the same place and it will result in double counting in schedules. So what that means is that you are placing a given family, say a beam for this instance, in the same position. So you have two beams lying in the same position with regards to the X and Y coordinates or on the same grid. And they are also at the same level. So Revit is trying to tell you, say, for example, at the first floor between at the intersection of, say, grid I and J, you have two beams there. So what you can get to do first, look at the mirror line that you created, ensure it's at the center or it's equidistant from both outer, the outer grids. And then after you've ensured it's equidistant from the outer grids, ensure that that there are no beams in the other side of that mirror line. So if there are beams on the other side of the mirror line, please get to delete them and then mirror the other beams. All right. So Amira, you could get to look at that. If that helps you out, well and good. If it doesn't, please drop a text in the WhatsApp channel and we will help you with that. All right, so it's also encouraging to hear a lot of people saying they tried what we learned yesterday, and you're looking forward to seeing what you produce. Remember, as Engineer James stated yesterday, we are going to be offering discounts to whoever does the best work. So if you're there and you'd like to join our course and you're looking for some discounts, please get to practice what you are doing in this sprint. and then you'll get something for yourself. All right, so let's get started. I'll start sharing my screen. And if you can see it as usual, please type a 1. Please type a 1 whenever you can see my screen. Type a 1, let me know. Super. If I'm also audible, please type a 1. If you can hear me clearly, type a 1. Super. So let's continue. So we are going to be diving into Rebar modeling for our structure over here. And we are going to be following some standards or some prescribed method of detailing by iStruct and also the Eurocode. So this is the book that you're going to be referring to. It's called the Standard Method of Detailing Structural Concrete. If you don't have it, I believe we'll get to share it after the session. So we'll get to share this book with you. You can go through it and see how you can incorporate it in your designs as well, or in your modeling as well. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to introduce you to a few more concepts today, and I'll try to go as slowly as I can and also try to cover as much ground as I can. So just as we did yesterday, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box, and then our captains will be there to assist you. All right, so let's get started. I want us to start with creating a shaft opening. And basically, a shaft opening is an opening that cuts through the slabs. All right. So if I was to uh, delete this slab over here, you're going to see something. From the top of our structure, you cannot see a staircase. You can see that where we have our staircase, we also have a slab. So you can see someone cannot walk through this staircase and then go into the upper floor because it's, there's a slab modeled or cast there. So this is not what you're going to have on site. And it's also an ideal to have it in your details. So how do we get to correct this? So this is what you're going to do. You're going to go into the first floor. All right. And then once you're in the first floor, I recommend working with the hidden line graphic display option. So if you're not quite familiar with what the hidden line display, what the graphic display options, they are found at the bottom left side of your screen. So I hope you can follow my cursor. I'm currently moving it around my screen. So I want you to follow it. And then at the bottom, we have the scale that you are using for this project. You can get to choose to change it at any time. So we can say for our slab layout, we want to use a scale of 1:50. And then here we have the detail level. So this refers to the amount of detail that you can see in a given view. All right. So for the course, you have seen the least amount of detail. Medium, you are seeing, say, just medium amount of detail. And then for fine, that is as detailed as your view can get. All right. So fine is as much detail as you can get, and coarse is the least amount of detail that you can get. So I'm going to turn this to fine. And then once I do that, we are going to model our lift shaft, our shaft opening. So let's do that. We are going to go to the structures tab, and then I want you to scroll to your right up to where you have this opening panel over here. All right. So there are different ways in which you can create an opening in Revit. You can use by face, shaft, wall, vertical, especially if you're working with shear walls and other types of walls, and also the dormer. So for these ones, I want us to stick with the shaft opening. And this is really easy to use. So what you're going to be doing is we are going to be drawing or creating the outer boundary of our opening. So at the moment, we have a slab going through the entire structure. And what we need to do is to create an opening above our staircase or along our staircase path so that we do not have, the slab detail over there. So I know right now you're familiar with this. So these tools are just what we used yesterday for our similar to what we used for our slab modeling and the rebar and the roof modeling. So I'm going to use the rectangle first to make my work easier. So I'm going to place my shaft opening over there. Okay. And then after I place it, I can delete this one and use the line. I will zoom in and use the line to ensure that my lift shaft opening or my opening is just formed where I need it formed. All right, so I need it here. Okay. Something else you'll notice that was not very accurate to do. So let me just delete these ones and draw them more manually. So I'll draw it along the edge. Ian, please stop drawing on my screen. It's going to disorient my flow. Please stop. So I'm going to draw another boundary over there. And then I'm going to place another one here. And I think now we are good. Okay. So another line here. And then after you have sufficient lines to show the changes in direction, I'm going to take you back to the trim extend to corner tool that we have been using. And then I'm going to join my boundaries. All right. So after I have joined them, I will not close first. I want us to input some parameters to this. So for the base constraint, we want it at first floor. And then the base offset, what it means is by how much do you want your shaft opening to be created in relation to the first floor. So we want it to punch through the first floor and go below it. So we have a slab of 150 millimeter thickness. And so we are showing negative 300 is quite sufficient for us. All right. And then for the top constraint, we only need it to the second floor. And then we also want it to go above the second floor so that it completely goes through it so that there's an opening. So for the top offset, we could also enter 300 and then click on apply and then click on finish. All right. And then after you've clicked on finish, I hope you can see some difference right now. If you can notice some difference, please type a 1. If you can notice that the staircase detail has been more pronounced, please type a 1. All right, super, Anthony. So you have that. And then the next thing that you can do to confirm that it has been created properly, you can go to the 3D model and get to see now you have the opening. So at this point, we don't need this beam. You could get to delete it. And also, I can see this one, also delete this one, and you are good. All right, so you can see how it has formed. You can see a staircase, and that is good enough. So after we have created our shaft opening, that is basically the function of the shaft opening. It's just to create an opening for your staircase. So the next thing that you're going to do is to create a staircase thickener. And what a staircase thickener means, or for those guys who have been on site, it's just a thickener that is usually provided at the ground floor to provide more support for your staircase. So at this point, probably the ground floor is just an RC beam with some BRC, and it might not be sufficient to support this run of the staircase. So we usually have, I don't want to call it a foundation, but it is basically a foundation for housing your starter bars for this run of the staircase. So let's get to do that. You're going to go to the ground floor. All right. And then at this point, I'm going to introduce you to another concept over here. So at the ground floor, what we want to do is to create a section view. So to create a section view in Revit, you will go to the View tab, go to Section, and then from this point, you can be able to create a section. But before you create a section or a cross section, let's say explain what a cross section is. Basically, a section is a type of view that cuts through the interior details of a structure and showing you those details. So if I was to place a section over here, all right, if I was to place a section over here, I expect it to show me the details. I expect it to cut through this structure through this path. And then it will show me the details of this structure while facing this direction. All right, so I can see my beams, my foundations, my slabs are going from this direction. All right, in this direction. Okay, so I hope that is clear. And then something else while working with sections in Revit, this this dotted blue box with these arrow grips affect the depth that you can see or you can visualize in Revit. So if I was to bring it closer to this part over here, I will only see the staircase, all right? But if I was to extend it further and further, the more I'm able to see. So you have to be quite, I don't know, you have to quite know what you want to see. So if I'm interested with working with the staircase, it is ideal for me to have it only along the staircase. But if I extend it further, I'll have more details, which might be unsuitable as it might confuse me as I work. All right. So I'll just extend it back to the staircase. And then you can proceed to your project browser. And then under sections, you can open this and you can see your staircase there. All right. So there's that. But before we do this, there's something that I'd like to mention. So as you place your staircase in this manner, you are going to have all your sections under one, under this broad category here, sections, cross section. All right. So this is quite unsuitable as you work in Revit. Now that you are modeling rebars, you're going to be doing it in sections. So you might want to
Sorry to
have a
disturb you.
better.
There's a line that's crossing here. There's a yellow line that's on top. Do you see it? I think it's it's distracting on what is happening.
Yes,
I'm not
someone
sure
drew it
if
on my.
it's only appearing on my side.
Hello, someone drew it on my screen. I cannot remove it, so we have to wait for them to remove it. All right, so if you are the one who was drawing the line, please stop. I'm not the only one who is getting inconvenienced by this. Okay, so I have no control over that. We'll just have to bear with it. Is that okay?
Yes, it's fine. We can work over it.
All right. So what we will do is continue. So as I was explaining, as you place more cross sections, if I was to place another cross section over here, it will be under the same category. And I do not want that. I want to have various categories. Say for my staircase, I want those sections to form to be put under one category. For my beams, I want them under one category. For my columns, I want them under one category. This might look like a lot of work at this point, but trust me, when it comes to plan and production, you'll get to see how that makes your work, how it makes your life a bit easier. Since when you want to transfer something to the paper space, you can easily identify or know where to look for it. So I could probably open another project so that I could also use it for, I could use it for explanations as we go. So this is what I'm talking about. You can see her sections. They are under different categories. There's the category for beams, columns, footings, shear walls, slabs, and the staircase. So whenever she wanted to place a certain elements in the sheets, it was easy for her since she could just go to these sections and move them to the sheet. All right. So let's continue. Let's go back to our model. I'll delete this view for now. Okay. And we'll get to do that. So we said if you want to place a section, you go to the view tab and then you go to the section over here. And while you are at the section, you are going to click on this drop down. Ensure you select a cross section and then click on edit type. as we did yesterday, before you make any changes to a family in Revit, please duplicate first. So after duplicating it, the first dialog box you will be prompted to rename it. So for this one, let's call it the staircase, and then click on OK, and then OK. All right, and then after I place my view over here, I want you to see something. You already have a category for your staircase. All right, so that's good. So we can proceed. I'll right click on it and then go to view. And then in view, here is where we are going to create our staircase thickener. So to work with the staircase thickener, I'm going to introduce you to a new tool that is called the cut profile. And to access the cut profile, you're going to access it in the view tab. And then you're going to go to cut profile over here. All right. I'll left click on it. And after you left click on it, there are two ways in which you can use the cut profile, either by face or by boundary between faces. So I want us to start with by face, and then we are going to select the lower run of our staircase. So once you place your cursor, you will see it has been highlighted, and then select it. It changes to this blue line. And to place the first step of our, of our thickener, we are going to place it at the end of the second going. So we are going to place it there, and then we are going to join it to there. All right. It needs the cut profile needs to have one open face. So please don't join this part. This part needs to remain open. All right. And then click on escape. Then something you should take note of is this arrow here as you zoom. So if you were to, this arrow affects the material that is used to create this cut profile. If it is facing outside, it's going to use the outer material, which is non-existent at this moment. But if it is facing in the inside, which is what we want for this section, it is going to use the staircase material to form this section over here. So ensure as you create a thickener using the cut profile, this arrow faces the staircase. And then after that, click on finish and you're good to go. So you can see what happened, and then we'll proceed to the next part. So for the next part, we need to add a few layers to our slab. So let's do that. So we are going to select our slab over here, the ground floor slab, and then go to edit type. So what layers do we want to add? We want our details to show the layer showing the 150 mm, the 150 mm slab reinforced with BRC. You could include the type of BRC you want. If you are using the type A142, you could include it. All right. Then we want it to show the 50 mm millimeter blinding, right? And we'd also want to show some site hardcore, especially if this ground floor will be lying on the ground or if it's not suspended. All right. So let's get to do that. We're going to go to edit. And then here in this edit assembly, we have the option to create or to add new layers. So I'm going to click on this preview so that we can see what is happening. So first thing, I'm going to reduce the top layer to 150 mm so that this covers our ground floor slab. All right. Then I'm going to insert a new layer, and then I'm going to move it downwards. So to move it downwards, just select it and then use this down here and move it downwards. So for this one, let's include a thickness of 50 mm. And then for the material, we can get to add a material here. So we are going to go into the material browser and look for dust. And then, not dust, let's look for sand. All right, so look for sand. And then after I look on sand, for sand, I want you to use, to click on this circle or sphere symbol with an addition sign. All right, and then after you click on it, you have the option to duplicate material and assets and then choose it. And then after you have duplicated your material, I want you to click here and rename it. So let's call this dust blinding. And then we are good to go. So we could go to the graphics or appearance to see how it's going to appear. So go to graphics, and then in the pattern here, you can see what you have. So you can click on the pattern, under cut pattern, foreground. You can choose the type of pattern you want. So for this one, let's use sand dense. Or if you want something more visible, you could get to choose any type of pattern you want. You can also create your patterns, and I'll show you how to do that in a few. So click on OK. And then for the color, you can choose a different type of color. So just for visibility, I will choose a color that is quite visible per se, so that you can be able to follow through. So click on OK, apply, and then okay. So if I was to zoom in, you can see we have two layers over here, and this one you can see the pattern for the, for the dust. Then you're going to create a new layer, insert, move it down under the dust blending, enter a thickness. Say we are going to have well compacted hardcore, or hardcore that is going to be compacted into layers of 150 mm and 150 millimeters. So let's have 300 mm for that. And then for the material, let's create a new one. Like we did first, we're going to look for a material that is closer to what we want. So we're going to look for earth. So I'm going to select earth, click on this spherical plus addition symbol, duplicate material and assets, and then you can rename this to sites hardcore. And then after you have that, select it, go to appearance, go to graphics, sorry. And then in the cut pattern, I want us to create a new cut pattern. So to create a new cut pattern or a pattern type, all you need to go is go to fill patterns. And then in this symbol here, it looks like a page with the top right side being folded. Left click on it and then come to custom. All right. And then browse. So for this one, you have to download some files called part files. You need to download some files called hardcore part files. And then once you download them, just open this folder, have them in your laptop, and then use them to create these patterns. So after you have imported it into your software, you could change the scale to something really, really small. You can see at the moment it's not visible. It's just a plus sign. So to make it more visible, you need to reduce the import scale. So we could reduce this to 0.09. Okay, let's see how that looks like. You can see now the pattern is becoming more pronounced. So let me add another one that is too small, probably. So, okay. Let's do, let's do that. Click on OK. Then you can also change the color. So you can change it to brown. Click on OK, apply, then OK. You can see what we have. Click on OK, apply, then OK. So after you go to your slab now, you can see it now looks a bit, it looks visually better, and you can easily tell the different layers that you're going to be using. So I'm going to take you back to the cut panel, and this time I want us to create a cut profile between two layers. So to do that, we will go to the view. Remember, to access the cut profile, you go to the view tab and then click on cut profile. All right. Then we said there are two ways to create a cut profile. First by face, and then second by boundary between faces. So for this one, go with boundary between faces, and then now select the first face. So we want this face, we want to create a cut pattern between this face here between these two between these two layers. So this is the face. Select it, and then it will change. All right. So we want our layer. We want this thickener to be about 800 millimeters thick. So let's do that. I'm going to use this as a guide. This part here is 600 millimeters thick. So to make it 800, I need to offset this line by 100 and this line by 100. These ones will be, sorry, these two lines will be quite useless. They are just here to guide me as I create, as I continue to create this thickener. So something that I'm going to do is go to the line, and then I just draw a line extending to the face of the other material. You can draw it at 45 degrees, and then draw this one else at 45 or 105 degrees, and then join the two lines. All right. And then after you've joined the two lines, these two lines are now obsolete. We do not need them, and we can delete them. All right. Remember what we said earlier, the cut profile needs to be open on one end, and so it will be open in this end so that we can make use of this material here. So click on finish, and then you are good to go. So you can see we are slowly forming our cut profile or our thickener. So let's proceed. Cut profile again, boundary between faces. This time select this boundary, becomes highlighted. So I'm going to use the offset here. I want it to be at a depth of 150 mm from this level. So I'll select that one and offset it downwards. Okay, I'll go to the line here and show offset is 0, and then continue joining, extending these lines downwards. So I don't need to extend it manually to the end, but you can. Say for this one, you could just match the angle and then use the trim extend corner tool. Use the trim extend to corner tool to, sorry. Let me just redo that quickly. And then click on finish. And then now you have your thickener. So that's how easy it is to create your thickener. And once you get to Rebar modeling for your staircase, you'll have something that actually makes a lot of sense. All right. So that's what we had for the staircase detail at this point. And we are going to get back to it if time allows. So for now, I want us to move to something else. I want us to start our Rebar modeling. All right. I want us to start with the foundations, and we'll go the foundations. So to model Rebar for the foundations, we need to go to the top of foundation. All right. And then while we are here, we need to do, it's going to be really simple. All we need to do is go to the view tab. First thing that I should state is that our rebars will always be modeled in sections. You're not going to model most rebars in these plan views unless you are detailing or modeling rebar for a slab. So let's create a detail. Let's model rebar for this footing over here. So we'll go to view, section. And now we are interested in creating a section for the foundations. So we're going to click on cross section and then edit type, duplicate, and you can call these foundations, right? And then click on OK, and then OK. And then after you have placed your section, you can get, if you've placed your section, you'll get to see another category here for foundations, which is what we want. All right, so after you have that, remember to minimize the view so that you can only see what you need to see, and that is just within the foundations, the foundation itself. So we are going to go to these sections over here, and then we are going to rename this section so that we can easily tell which foundation this this information belongs to. So we could name it after the footing. So let's go to this section over here, select it, then right click, go to rename, and you could call this footing, let's call it footing 1, 1800 by 1800 by 450 mm. All right, so you could have that and then open it. Okay, and then after you open it, we just need to do some little bit of cleaning. Say minimize the view. Sorry, let me repeat that. So if you want to minimize the view, you can select these viewport. And then after you select it, there are these circular grips on all edges of the viewport. So place your cursor on one of the grips and scroll down to have it, placed at a more suitable place. So you can have it there and also have this somewhere there and increase it. All right, and then after you do this, we are going to do some annotation. We are going to enter a component, and this component will be the break line. The purpose of this break line will be to show that these elements are continuous, but this is the only part that you are viewing. So let's go to components, load family. So I want you to scroll to UK and then look for detail items. Scroll down to annotations and then select the detail item break line and then click on OK. And then place it here. All right. So you can see it has broken the column. The column exists. It's there. It's just that Revit is intelligent enough to know that you don't want to see this column at this particular point. As something I should mention, the detail view does not work in the wireframe. All right, in the wireframe visual style. If you are to change to the wireframe, you'll see your columns. But if you change to any other type of graphic display option, we are not going to visualize it. So let's add another detail item. So I'm going to repeat that so that it reinforces what we have learned. So to place a detail line, all you need to do is go to annotate, then load a component, detail component. So by default, you won't have the detail item break line over here. So you need to load a family. All right. And then for this one, you might need to go back to the English libraries, select UK. And then at this point, you need to scroll down up to annotations. Sorry, not annotations, up to detail items. All right, so scroll down, look for detail items, and then open that. Then scroll down to annotations, and then select the detail item break line. All right, save your project whenever you have the option to save it, and then place your detail item. All right, and then after you do that, select it. You have grips, and you can use them to make it fit better. Okay, so after you do that, let's mirror it to this other side to make our work easier. So also select these walls and these strip footings, right click, and hide them in view. So they are not necessary. Okay, so let's get to do this. Let's model the rebar. Please follow closely. So to model rebar for your foundation, all you need to do is go to structure, and then you can go to Rebar here to the reinforcement panel. But before we place any reinforcements, we need to provide cover. So let's provide some cover for our foundation over here. So click on cover, and then after you click on cover, please remember we have these options over here. Here is where you can get to create a new cover for your concrete member. So click on these three dots, and then you have some pre-existing cover settings over here. You can select any of them, all right, and delete them if you need to delete them. And then you can delete all of these since they are quite confusing. And then you can always create a new one. So you're going to add to create a new one. Select it, rename it under the element you want to model rebar for. So this is footings. And for the footings, we can have, a cover of 50 mm, and then click on OK. So remember, this cover is not an absolute value. It's going to be affected by the exposure conditions or the exposure class of your structure. If your structure is an area where it's too humid, it is exposed to chemicals such as sulfates or any chemicals that might cause corrosion to the bar, you might require a bigger cover for your elements. Also, in terms of durability, if it has a higher class for durability, you need bigger or larger covers for your elements. Also, if under fire, you need it to stay. You need it for probably 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever class you use, it will affect the type of cover you choose. So for this one, let's stick with 50, then select your footing, click on this drop down, scroll up and select the footings. And as you zoom in, you can see this dotted boundary. It shows you that the cover has been applied. So it means the rebar won't go beyond this cover. So that's how intelligent Revit is. All right, so let me zoom out and we'll go to Rebar modeling. So let's go to Rebar modeling. If you click on Rebar, you'll have this information over here or this dialog box. Just click on OK and you are good to go. So after you open the Rebar setting, you'll notice that you have this Rebar shape browser. If this does not open, if yours does not open, just click on these 3 dots over here and it will pop up. All right. So let's talk about this. There are different placement methods for Rebar in Revit. You can use the expand to host. That is, you place a Rebar in a host and it will expand automatically to fit within the cover settings of that host. Then you can place it by 2 points. Say just draw it by 2 points and Revit will model the Rebar for you. Okay. Then you can place it by freeform. We use freeform for complex structures or structures with, some quite complex shapes, and so it's commonly used for spiral staircases and also for ramps. And you can also sketch the Rebar manually. All right, so we have the placement planes. You can place the Rebar at the current plane, at the near cover reference plane, or at the far cover reference plane. All right. Also the placement orientation. You can do it parallel to work plane, perpendicular to segments, horizontal, or curve. So let's work with the expand to host. You can place it by parallel to work plane, parallel to cover, and perpendicular to cover. Also for this one, let's place it by parallel to cover, and then we are going to experiment with the others as we model Rebar for the other structural elements. So the layout rule affects the number of Rebar that you can place. So we are going to be using maximum spacing. So let's use maximum spacing and then enter a spacing of 200 mm. All right. And then after you do that, select the shape of bar you want. So for this one, let's select shape number 21. But before we place it, let's talk about the properties. So first we have the partition. This refers to the host that is going or where you're placing your Rebar. So if you're placing your Rebar in a foundation, say enter the name of that host, foundation. All right. And then here you can also place the comments. So which bar are you placing in your foundation? So this is the bottom one, is it the bottom two? You get to put that information here. This is really important for scheduling. So if you're going to be using Revit for schedules, please ensure you always remember to partition and enter the comments. Then after you do that, click on apply and then place your Rebar. All right. So after you place your Rebar, you could change this length to what suits your design. So let me work with 150 for this one. And then you are good to go. So let's create the other Rebar. So to place the bottom tools, you're going to go to Rebar over here. And then you're going to select shape number 21. But this time, I want us to work with perpendicular to cover. Partition will remain the same as foundation, maximum spacing. And then for the comments, let's add a new comment and call this the bottom two. All right, click on apply and then place your rebar. All right, and then after you've placed your rebar, you can choose to move it upwards just a little bit and have them, spaced more appropriately. Okay, so you can have that, and that's how good it looks. So you can also select these bars and change their hook lengths. So you can change the A value to 150 so that we have something uniform, and then click on apply and okay. And then you have modeled your rebar. So let's see how this looks in 3D. So to see how it looks in 3D, select your footing. And then in the view panel, I want you to select the selection box. And then you can see your rebar over here. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to select this box. And then there's this grip. I'm just going to expand it upwards. Change the scale to something bigger, 1:20. Hide a few elements. Okay, so that we can, easily see our members. And then I'm going to highlight everything here. Go to filter, check none, and then check structural rebar. Click on apply and okay. All right, and after I do that, go to graphics, click on edit, and then ensure you view and obscured, and then okay. So if you zoom in, if you place this as fine and you zoom in to realistic, you can see how your rebar has been modeled. You can see it in 3D, how it looks like. So this would be really good to see before you even get on site. All right, so, okay, after you have modeled your rebar within Revit, the good thing is that with Revit, you don't have to repeat the entire process for all foundations. Say for the foundations that have a similar cross-section, you can select any rebar here, then right-click, go to select select all rebar in hosts. And then after you select all rebar in hosts, you'll notice the contextual rebar ribbon changes. I want you to click on propagate. And then let's propagate by face. All right. Then let's propagate by host for this one. So select that host, select this footing and this one. And then after I've selected the footings that have the same cross section, click on finish, and then you're good to go. So you can see as I place my cursor over here, the rebars have been modeled in these foundations as well. So I'm going to repeat that so that we reinforce what we have done. But this time I'm going to go a bit quickly. So we have this foundation footing over here, and would like to place some rebar for it. So how do we get to do that? We said all rebar is placed in a view. So we create a section. At this point, we do not need to create a new section since we have a section for the foundations. So I'm just going to add a section over here and then ensure I minimize it so that it only shows me the extents within these footings. All right. And then if I go to my section categories under foundations, I now have a second section. So I'll right click on this one and then I'll rename it. So I could call this footing 2, say 1500, by 1500 by a depth of 450 mm. And then just click outside and then double click to open it. Again, we clean this up by using these circular grips. We clean it up using these circular grips, change the scale, and you can see what we have. And then after having this, go to annotate. Now let's load a component. This time you don't need to load it afresh since you already have it in your, in your template. And then just place it as you deem fit. All right. Then after you place it, use these sections. Sorry, use these grips to ensure that it covers everything, and then mirror it by the center. Okay, so do that, and then you're good to go. Then I recommend you hide these three footings. So select them, right click, and then hide the elements. Then you have the foundation walls as well. Select them, both of them, right click, and hide elements. All right, so you can see we have a clean detail over here. So let's model Rebar for it. So we go to structure, cover, select your foundation, click on this drop down, and then select the setting that you had already created. All right, after you've added your cover, Rebar, select a suitable shape. But first, the placement orientation for the bottom one bar will be Rebar shape number 21. Ensure the lateral is maximum spacing, and the spacing is 200 mm for this type of, for this instance. And then before you model any rebar, it is important to partition it. And as we explained earlier, partition refers to the host of your rebar. So if you are modeling your rebar in a beam, the host will be the beam. If you are modeling your rebar in a column, the host will be the column. If you are modeling your rebar in a slab, same case. Then remember, this information is really important when it comes to producing the schedules. So please create it, all right? And then after you do this time I will introduce you to something new. You're going to enter schedule mark. And the purpose of having this schedule mark is that it helps you, how do you explain this? It helps you filter out elements as you work. So as you create your schedule, you might want a schedule for your columns one, especially when you're working with a big project with, say, 9 variations of columns. You might want to have a specific bar bending schedule variation for your columns one, for your columns two, etc. For certain beams, such. It also makes your schedules manageable. So we could call this foundation one, footing one, this is footing two. And then we could just click outside and Revit will do that for us. Then the second thing that we'll do is the comments. And then we are going to have bottom one and now just place it, okay? So after you place it, you can change this hook length by clicking on these dimensions and entering your desired hook length. All right, and you have that. Okay, so let's do the rest. So let me change this to 150 so that I can demonstrate something. Okay, let's have that. And then after you do this, let's create the bottom twos. Same case, you go to Rebar, select shape number 21. By this time, we want our bars running in the other direction. So change the placement orientation to perpendicular to cover. So Revit will remember most of the other settings you input. So for the schedule mark, just enter the footing two. All right, enter footing two. And then for the comments, now select bottom two and then click on apply. All right, and then place your rebar. So as we did for the other footing, just select it and then place them more accordingly. All right, and then after this, you could change the length of the hooks from this part over here, and then you'll be good to go. Then click on apply, and you're good. So this is what you have. You have created the bottom one bars and the bottom two bars. So someone might be wondering, what if they have a foundation with the top bars? How would you get to do that? So that would be easy. What I do is select both of these bars, right? Select both of these bars and then just mirror them, right? Mirror them about the center of the footing, and you have your top one and top two bars. So all you need to do at this point is to select this bar and then sorry. And then after you have this bar, select this bar, and then change the comments to top one. All right, and then you are good to go. Do the same for this one. I change it to top two, and you are good to go. All right. And then after you have modeled this rebar for this footing, the next thing that you need to do is go to the top of foundation. If you want to have to propagate this rebar, all you need to do is select one of the rebars, right click, then click on select all rebar in host. This will select all the rebar in this particular host, and then go to propagate. All right, go to propagate, and then in the plan view, work by align by host, and select a host with the same, select host with the same dimensions. Sorry, let me check that one. Select host with the same, with the same dimensions to make these more accurate. And then you are good to go. So with that, you can click on finish. And as you move or hover your cursor above the foundations, you can notice that all rebar has been modeled in the others. So it's really easy. You don't have to do repetitive work. All you need to do is know how to use Revit, and then you'll be good. Okay, so I think with that, I would like to go to the next part, but before I could just touch on a little thing over here. So if you'd wish to annotate this particular footing, I know for the people who've used CAD before, what you do is you'd use a text and then have to calculate the number of rebar. Say you have a footing of 1500 by 1500. If you needed to place a text over here, you'd have to do that calculation manually. So divide the length by the spacing, and get the number of bars you need. But in Revit, that is automated. You need to go to tag by category and then just tag it. All right. So that's what you need to do. So what you can do here is select a different tag. So just tag it by category, and then you have that. All right. So this is the tag we have. You can always make changes to this tag. So to make changes to this tag, what you need to do is to select it. I hope I won't lose you here, but this is going to need a bit of concentration. So select this tag, go to edit family, and try to select the largest this largest rectangle. Select it, and then click on edit label. So this is a place where you get to choose which parameters to have in your project. So if you wanted to have a different type of tag, you can get to do it at this point. So, but before I make any changes to a family in Revit, we always said save as. So I could say save this family as, let's use a foundation. Sorry, foundation tag, and then click on save. And then after I have that, now I can make changes to it. Edit the label. So I only want to see the quantity. All right. And then the type name. So the type name, and what else would I want to see at this point? I'd also like to see the spacing, the rebar number, as well as the comments. So let me scroll down and look for the comments. So these parameters are arranged alphabetically. you can scroll down and look for all comments that you need, of all parameters that you need. So for example, if your tag usually reads something like 14, say T12, then there's a small hyphen over there and you have the schedule mark, and then followed by a hyphen, then the spacing and the comment, either it's a bottom one, top one. Here is where you get to have your tag look like that. So for first, we have the quantity, and then the type name. So the type name refers to the T12. So that will be the type name. I don't want a prefix for it. Prefix refers to the symbol that comes before the parameter, and I don't want anything between quantity and type name. Then I will change this prefix over here. And then for the rebar number, I will move it upwards. And then I'll also have prefix over here, click on apply and okay. Then load into project and close. Okay. Just give it a moment. We could go back to out this tag. And then we could select a different family. So I could select this one. So you can see now we have something that makes more sense. So we could have this as horizontal and then tag it there. All right. And the goodness with this, you just need to create it once. And then for all the others, you just place them and you have, sorry, I don't need to go there. So you only need to do that once. And then after you have that, you only need now to change this orientation to probably horizontal and then place your tags as you wish, all right? So that's how easy it is to do your tagging in Revit. And you are not going to be doing any manual calculations. All you need to do is to place your tag and then proceed. All right, so we will continue. I think time is really running fast. So next thing that we're going to do is to model a rebar for a column. And this is even going to be easier, but I'll also get a chance to introduce you to something new. So I'll go to the top of foundation. And at this point, I'm going to create a new section. So I'm going to go to view. All right. And then at view, I'm going to create a new section. I'm going to edit this section and duplicate it. I'll call it columns. And then click on OK. Then click on OK over here. And then proceed to place our column section. And then just minimize this view. Left click, right click, and then go to view. And at this section, you can see the rebar in the foundation, as well as the other elements. So I think the code suggests that for elevation views of columns, you should use a code of 1:50. And then you can minimize this, all right? So minimize it to that level. And then you can get to extend this a little bit if need be. And then after you have this, we are going to use the same symbol that we used earlier. So we want to introduce a break line. To introduce a break line, you go to annotate, component, and then you place your component. So you're going to use the space bar to change the orientation of the component. So every time I click on the space bar on my keyboard, its orientation changes. And then after that, I'm just going to place this section, this detail item, and then expand it. And then you'll be good to go. So select this detail item and then mirror it. All right. Now then you can select these walls and hide them in view. Something that I'm going to tell you, don't delete anything haphazardly in Revit. It's going to cost you. If you're sure you want to delete something, go ahead. But if you're not sure about something, just hide it in view and get to see how, or if you need it in other views. So remember, if you delete something in this view, it's going to be deleted through the entire project. All right. So let's add other other detail items over here. So we could minimize this, shape it as we want. All right. And then after we have something suitable, we write to make our work easier. Select them and then copy them. Okay. And then copy them. So with that, we have, we have a clean detail for our Rebar modeling. So I'm going to introduce you to something new over here. And this is a type of view called the detail view. And what the detail view does is that it shows you, it's a special view that allows you to, it's a specialized view used to zoom on given a specific area of the model at a larger scale. So at this point, we want to create a cross-section for our column. And you can see that as you compare it to the other elements, it's a smaller area and you need to give it a larger scale of say 1:20. So to do that, we'll go to section and then click on this dropdown. Then select the detail here. And then first, edit type, duplicate, and then let's rename this to say column X sections. So you can call it however you want, just something that makes sense to you, and then click on OK, and then OK. Okay, and then after you do that, you can get to place your section over there. All right, and then after you do that, you'll notice now, apart from the sections that we had earlier, we also have a detail view, and it communicates that it's a column cross section. So expand this, go to detail item, right click. So rename this. We could say column, let's say column 1, XX, let's keep it simple. And then I'll just click outside, then double click to open it. So for the scale, you can use 1:20 and then expand it. So if you're not sure with which scale to use as you do your Rebar modeling, I'd suggest you go through the standard methods of detailing. It gives quite a clear picture of what you need to do. So for this one, you could go to probably page 12, just a moment. And let's see that's where it is. Okay, so for example, for the scales, you can see where it has been stated. You can see for general arrangement drawings, you have a scale of 1:10. For wall and slab details, you have a scale of 1:50. For the beam and column elevations, they are recommending a scale of 1:50. And then for the beam and column sections, or cross sections if you wish, they are recommending that you use a scale of 1:20. So if you are new into detailing, I recommend going through this book. It will be a good guide for you. All right. So after you do that, after you're sure with what scale you want to work with, you can now clean this up. Hide in view by elements. You could also hide these screens. So hide in view elements. Okay. So the process of modeling Rebar is quite similar. So what you need to do is go to structure. And then the first step is to always provide cover. Save your project, cover, and then remember these 3 dots are for creating a new cover setting. So we could add, and then let's rename these columns. And we could stick with a cover setting of 30 and then click on OK. Then select your footing, or your column, sorry. Go to this drop down, scroll upwards and select the new setting. And then click on escape. And the cover has been placed. All right. And then now go to Rebar. And here we are going to be placing our Rebar. So first thing that you're going to do is to select the Rebar shape. All right. Let's select the Rebar shape that you're going to be using. Rebar shape number 52. And then for the placement orientation, I ensure that it's parallel to cover for this one. So you can place your rebar shape over here. But before you place your rebar shape, again, it's really important to go through the properties to ensure you know what you're working with. So for example, for the rebar shape, for the links or the stirrups, as you might want to call them, we usually use a diameter, an 8 millimeter bar diameter. So you can go through these rebars. You can see you have a H8, a H10. So the H is the type of bar. Then the 8 is the bar diameter. The bar diameter. All right. Then click on that. And then after you do that, you can be able now to create a new partition. Say these should be the columns now, since this bar is being modeled in a column. And then you can see Revit is already telling you that it's a stirrup or tie. The layout rule, we want it as maximum spacing at 200 mm, but we'll get to discuss that in a short while. And then for the comments, let's have these as links, all right? And then we can click on apply and you'll be good to go. So you can place your link over here. And again, if you want these hooks to be placed in a different corner in your column, just click the space bar, and it will be moved around. All right. And then click on escape once that has been done. So someone might be wondering if what happens if you are using a different annotation or denotation for your bars or for the bars in your country. Say you use probably D12, D10, or you have the Y, the Y denotation. So what would you do in that instance? So what you do is come to any rib over here. Say you want to work with a D10 or a T10 bar. So it comes to the edit and then duplicate this bar and call it T8. All right. And you'd have that. Okay. Now it becomes a T8. So something that you should not change the diameter of the bar. All right. If you want to have a D12 bar or a T12 bar, go to the H12, duplicate it, click on edit type, and then duplicate it, click on edit type, duplicate, and then change the name to T12, and then click on OK. And your bar will be changed. So we are not going to be changing the bar diameter at any point. All you'll be doing is to be changing the type name. All right. And then after you do that, if you go to the section, you will notice your links have already been modeled. All right. So the next step will be to model the longitudinal bars. So we'll also do it in the section. So we'll go to Rebar. For this one, ensure the placement orientation is perpendicular to cover. So how you get to choose the placement orientation is that you look at the section that you're looking at. If you want, how will your bar, just try and visualize your bar. If you are to cut a section along your column, your bars would look like dots. All right, that means they are going perpendicular to the cover. So the cover is going this way and they are perpendicular or cutting through it. So that's how you get to, choose the placement orientation. So for the longitudinal bars, let's use shape 00 or 01. Change the layout to fixed number and say, let's work with 3. And then change the placement orientation to perpendicular to cover. And let's use a T12 bar and then get to place them. So we are only going to place one set at this point, then make edits to it here. So let's select it and make a few edits to it. So the first thing that we would like to extend it into the foundation over here. So what you are going to do is you're going to edit the sketch, extend it downwards. And then after you extend it downwards, use this line over here to draw your hook. So you could have a hook length of 450 mm and then click on escape and you have your hook over there. And then for this one over here, you could bring it down manually, or you could use the aligned dimension tool to place this distance accurately. So what we want to do at this point is to enter. What we want to do at this point is to enter dimension for our overlap length. So after you've placed your dimension here, select this line and then enter the dimension as, say, the lap length is usually 50 times the diameter of the bar. So you could enter a function 50 times an asterisk as say 12 millimeters, and then click outside and Revit will do the calculation for you. It will tell you that the length you need there is 600, and then click on finish. And you have your bar over there. And then after you have this, you can select this bar and now duplicate it or mirror it along the center, and it shall appear here. All right. And the good thing with Revit is that everything is parametric. Once you make a change in one view, it reflects through the entire structure. So let's go back to this one. So let's copy one of them. All right. So to copy it, select this bar, copy it along this dimension. And then once you have it somewhere here, just copy it again. Now let's move it. Let's move it upwards. And then after you have it in this point over here, just select it. And then once the contextual ribbon changes, I want you to click on Edit Sketch. And then let's make some edits to this. So you can scroll down here, extend it downwards. And then for the lap length, draw your second section over here and move it down. So ideally, we should have a kicker of about 75 mm where this bar should rest on, and then join it to have it something continuous. And then for this section over here, as we did for the other bar, select this aligned dimension tool, select the top of your slab and this top of the line, all right? And then after you have that dimension, just select your line, enter the dimension you want, so 600, and then click on finish. And then I'll just click on edit mode. Okay, so you have that bar over there. And then you can mirror it about the center. Okay, so that's what you have. If you go to your section, you can see what you have over here. So it's parametric. Whatever changes you make anywhere, they'll be carried forward to other sections. So again, now after you've done this, it becomes easier. You do not need to keep on redoing it. All we'll do is copy it to other levels. Say copy it to that section over there and to this section over here. Okay. And then at this point, we would need to make a few changes. If we are keen, you can see that it extends out of the structure. It goes beyond the roof. So what do we do at this point? So we can delete one, select the other bar, go to edit sketch, select it and just move it downwards, and then click on finish edit mode. All right. And then after you do that, just mirror it, and then you are good to go. So after doing this, you can select the shear links that you created earlier and copy them to other bars, to other columns along that section. And you have that. You can see how it looks. So we can copy this. And then, sorry, let me select them. And then if you zoom in, you have this extension over here, and you can get to show where it is. Okay, so you have that, and I think with that you'll be good to go. All right, so that's how easy it is to model Rebar in Revit. And the beauty is that you can see this in 3D always, get to see how it's going to be on site. So what do you do? How can you create a 3D view for this section over here? So first, let's rename this section. We forgot to do that. So let's just call it column one, say 200 by 450 mm, and then click outside. All right. And then after you do that, you can go to the 3D view. Okay. I expand the 3D view, go to this 3D view over here, right click, and then duplicate view. So you could duplicate it with detailing, and then you are good to go. So we have this view. Let me uncheck the checkbox so that we can see our structure. And then I want us to do something cool. So I want you to follow closely. I want you to come to this navigation bar over here. And then as you move upwards, you'll see this arrow. So it's called the context menu, and I want you to left click on it. And then you have options to orient this view to either view, a direction, or a plane. So this time I want us to go to view, and then scroll to section, and then select the column section that we had. All right. And by doing that, you have a 3D view for your columns. So you can use these grip edits to make it a bit better. All right. And then after you have something like this, highlight everything in the column. All right. Then you're going to use the filter tool to filter out what we don't want to see. So check none first to unselect everything. Select structural rebar, then click on apply, and then OK. And then after I do that, go to the visibility states, click on edit, and then view unobscured, and then click on OK. And with that, if you zoom in, you can see your rebar, you can see the cranks, you can see how the shear links have been arranged. So if you're working with a complex structure and you're not sure if the rebars will be too congested, this would be a good way for you to visualize. All right. So you can get to see how good that looks. Okay. And you can also see that it did not take a lot of effort to create. Okay. I hope you are still following. I hope you are still following. So that is what we have at the moment. Okay, so I'll close this and we'll continue to add some annotations. So, okay, so I'll go to my column section. And this time I want us to add some annotations here. All right. So if you want to provide annotations for your columns in Revit, you'd need to change some things, probably create something new. So let's do that. First thing I'm going to do is to select these links and then go to presentation and select show first one and second and the last one. So with that, Revit will only show me the first link and the last one. All right. And then I'm going to go to annotate. Then I will place a tag, multi-rebar tag over here, and I can see what I'm being told. So Revit is communicating that I have 17 T12s and the schedule mark is 01. All right. So this is a multi-rebar tag. This is how it comes by default in Revit, but fixing this is really easy. So the first thing that you need to do is go to the dimension tool over here, select any of them. So I recommend starting with a 2.5 millimeter aerial, edit type. And what I want us to do is to create a dimension style for our annotation. So we're going to click on duplicate and call these, say, a multi-rebar, a tag dimension, a style, and then click on OK. All right. And then we are only going to make two changes here. For the interior mark display, I want you to click on this drop down and select always show. And then in the interior mark, you can choose any interior mark that you want. But for us, we could use, I could use a field dot to mm, then click on apply and OK. So that is the first step. All right. So what is the second step? The second step is to edit this family. So how do we do that? You select the family, select tag, then we are going to go to edit family. All right. So I can delete these lines. I don't like to see them. But before you make any changes, please always remember to save as, so that you always have an original family to go back to. So we could call this a multi-Rebar tag, and then click on save. All right. And then after I do this, just click on this box, go to edit label as we did before. And then here we have the parameters that we can add to our tag. So you can remove these parameters by clicking on this red arrow. All right. And if you needed to add a parameter, you just click on this green arrow. So I'm just going to remove this and you're going to build it from scratch. So if you have a pen or if you have a drawing that you have some tags you can copy from or you would want to create, I want you to look at the tag. So typically we would want to see the quantity. Say we want to see the tag tell us we have 17 G8, which is the type of bar, then the schedule mark, or the Rebar number, and then the spacing and the comment. So this time it should show as links. All right, so how do we do that? First, you're going to add the first parameter, which is the quantity. Select quantity and then move it there. Then select the type name, and then move it there. The next one should be the schedule mark. Place it. Then the third one should be the spacing. Place it there. And then the last one would be the comments. So if you usually have a different type of tag, here is how you create it. I think it's something that is usually overlooked or something that you may not find a lot of it online. So here is where you can get to, create it. So then you can have a hyphen there and a hyphen there. Click on apply, okay. Then we can change the text size. So let's click on edit type and duplicate it. Say I want to work with a 1.0 mm text size. I'll change the text size here. Click on apply and then okay. Okay, you can see it changes. Then I'll just load into project. Let me save as. Okay, I'm only saving as so that I can place it under a tag that I can remember. So multi-Rebar tag, let me call it sprint. Click on save and then load into project and click on OK. Then let's go to our column section. This is the tag we had earlier. I want you to see how we are going to change it. First, select it, go to edit type. And then at this point over here in the dimension style, I want you to select the multi-Rebar tag dimension style we created earlier. And then as you move upwards, you can see the tag family. You have the option to now select the tag. So I called mine the multi-Rebar tag sprint. Click on apply and okay. All right, so you can see how it has been changed. So then I'll select the tag. Okay, now this time I'll just uncheck the leader line and place it within my column. So if that's how you want to tag your column, that's how you get to do it. Okay. Then this is how you get to do it. So someone else might wonder, we have the millimeter symbol over here, and you do not want to have it. So how do you get to remove it? So this is how you get to remove it. You type units, just as you do in AutoCAD. Type units. Is it not typing? Sorry. Type units, and then under discipline, I want you to go to this drop down over here and go to structural. All right. And then after you go to structural, I want you to scroll down and look for reinforcement spacing. After you find the reinforcement spacing, I want you to select these 1235 mm under format, left click on it, and then under unit symbol, select none. If you also want to see the spacing between your bars in any other units, here is where you get to do it. And then click on OK, OK, and apply. And now it's gone. So as we had said earlier during yesterday's session, we did not want to carry out the training in a way where you'd have to cram where everything is. So we wanted to take you through we wanted to give you an in-depth introduction to using Revit so that you can always use it professionally. All right, so let's proceed. So we have this one over here. So let's do the same to these two. So I'll select these two links, change the presentation to first and last. And then this time it will be easier. You're just going to go to Annotate, multi-Rebar tag, and sure you select okay, let's place our tag. Okay, so you can place it directly at the center. And this time you can see you don't need to make a lot of changes. The heavy lifting has already been done. And then you can save it. Okay, so after this, all you need to do is just select the tag and then just place it there. All right. So if you want it on the outside, you can definitely get to do that. If you want it on the inside, you can follow what I am doing. Okay, so we have that. And then the other thing you'd probably need to do is just tag the outer bars. This one is easier since you only need to select them and and place them. So the thing with Revit, this I need to clarify since it usually comes up as a question, is why I'm putting two tags. So how Revit is reading this particular tagging is that it's telling me the amount of rebar in this one run and the amount of rebar in this other run. So it won't tell me 6 to 12 bars in that column. It will show them in this manner, all right? But if you have to have, say, 60, 12 bars, and they have the same schedule mark, bar mark, you can get a little bit creative. So you could go to text, use a one segment text, and then place it here and say 6 to 12, then comma, the schedule mark, and then okay. Okay, so if you want to have, say, a circle over here, I could go to detail line again. I use the circle and place this circle. Sorry, it's easier to copy. Place it over here. All right, and then after you have this, you can highlight to select it. Then select this one and copy it to the other columns. If they have the same, if they have the same tag here. So yeah, that's about it. Then for the measure, if you want to show some additional detail, say for your heights, this is how you get to do it. Yeah, so you can see how easy that has been. Yeah, and place it there. So that's how you do it. Okay, so I leave that at that. And then I'll proceed to model Rebar for one of the beams. So I'm going to ask you to lend me 10 minutes of your time, and then you're going to end that session at about 10:10. All right. So how would you model Rebar for a beam set? So it would basically follow the same. It would basically follow the same workflow. All you need to do is go to any of the floors. Say go to the first floor, and for this one, let's model Rebar for this. I think this is the only continuous beam we have. So let's model Rebar for this beam. So we're going to go to View, Section. Remember to pick a section, not a detail view first. Pick a section. And then before you place the section, please remember to provide a category. We saw how important it is, especially in the latter stages where you need to move your details into a paper space. So click on Edit Type, Duplicate, and then let's call these beams. Click on OK, click on OK, and then now place your section over here. All right, and then after you do this, you can minimize it so that you do not see a lot of unnecessary things. And then after you have that, you can go to your project browser. We said everything here is collapsible, so you can collapse everything that you do not need and expand the section for beams only. Then you can right click. Let's rename this. Let's call it B1, 200 by 450 mm, and then you are good to go. So let's open this. I want us to model our rebar in the first floor. So let's have that, clean it up. We saw the scale recommended for these elevation views is 1:50. So let's stick to that. And then just place this. Okay, expand it a little bit. Okay, so we have that. Then we'll go to the annotate components. Place one there and another one here. All right. And then after you have this, you can select both of them and copy them by the grids just to make your life a bit easier. All right. So if you don't like how they look, you can always clean it up. But due to the interest of time, please let me not clean it up for you. So I'll expand this on downwards just a bit. Then I'll start modeling my Rebar. So you can always hide anything that you deem unnecessary for a view. So you could always hide anything that you deem unnecessary. So for this one, I want us to do something really simple. First, we are going to start with placing dimensions. So you can see the dimension it is using. It is using the linear dimension cell that we created for our multi-Rebar tag. So I can go to another different dimension tag and have it here. All right. Then place another one, the ends, and you're good to go. So after you have your dimensions, the next thing would be to create a section. So to go to view, section, click on the drop down, scroll up. You can use the column section. First step is to always duplicate. So we could call this beams sections. So something that I'm trying to instill is that categorize as much as possible. Categorize your sections and your views as much as you can. It will make your plan and production stage really easy for you. And then after you have done that, just place it. And then go to view. So I'm not going to go through the step of renaming it, just for time's sake. Then I will select this view, get to expand it a little bit, and then place it here. All right. So I'm going to change the scale to 1:20, as we saw. Then hide these elements in view, right click, hide in view. All right. And then after you have hidden them, go to the Annotate tab, Components. We want to place the break line. I know now you're quite familiar with what it does. So if this is too huge, you can get to minimize it, and then mirror it about the center of the beam, and you're good to go. So first step is to add cover. So you're going to go to Structure, Cover, and then let's create a new cover. So we can add a new one. Say, let's call it beams. Let me use 25 here. Then click on OK. And then I'll place my cover there. You can already see the edges. So with that, we'll now go to Rebar. Our first step is to select the shape that you want. So you're going to select the shape number 52. All right. And then for this one, we want it to be parallel to work plane. But before we place it, we are going to do what we have been doing before. Select the ideal size and then partition it. So we said partition is where the bar will be hosted. So this bar will be hosted in the beams. So you can have a partition for that. Then the layout rule affects the spacing. So let's use maximum spacing and 200 mm. All right. And then for the comments, let's have these as links as well. And with that, click on apply. And with that, we are good to go. All right. So we have placed it. Okay. So if I was to go to this, you can see it has been placed. Then let's go back. So I'll go to Rebar. This time I'll select a different bar shape. So I could select shape number 21. I'll select perpendicular to cover. Then I could change the size to detail. Then remember this is design specific. So if you want to know the type of bars you want, the number, you get to do that in the design phase. So for here, we're going to choose the layout rule to fixed number. And then go to the beams here and select the comments. So we can have this as bottom one and place them here. Okay, so place them here. And move them there. Okay, so that is good. You can go to the section and you can see where your bar has been placed. So if you, ideally, on site we usually work with bars that are 12 meters maximum. So if your section is not longer than 12 meters, you can get to extend your bar if both of the beams are using the same size of the bar. All right. So for this one, I'll just extend it to show you that you can do that. And then change the spacing to about 200 or 150, and you'll be good to go. So you can extend that and have it there. So you have modeled the rebar for this particular beam. All right. Then you'd like to provide the, top bars. So to do that, you need to go to the detail view again. This time, let's make it easier. Select the bars. So copy them. And then, not copy, mirror them, sorry. So select the bars, go to mirror. We have two options for mirror. Mirror pick axis we used yesterday, where you have an existing mirror line already. But for the draw axis, it allows you to draw the axis. All right, so we'll draw axis there. and model our rebar here. Okay, so we have that. So at this point, okay, so we have bars for these points over here. And the thing that would follow is to copy this into the other beam. But before we get to do that, I'd like to demonstrate something. So at this point, I've not had the time to demonstrate how you can apply cranks to this rib over here. So let's get to do that. All right. So let's do that. So I'm going to use the annotate lines to guide me. So I'm going to draw an annotation line just arbitrarily. So I'm going to use the offset length. First, I'm just going to draw, to place an offset length arbitrarily only. All right. Use it there and also model it here. All right. Click on escape and extend them downwards. Ensure they are perpendicular or at 90 degrees. Right, so I want to create some form of crank here or to provide some bars here for hogging moments. So I'm going to use dimensions, or I'm going to use some values that have been provided in the standards. I'm going to use some values that have been provided here. So if you are wondering where these values that I'm going to be mentioning, they'll be from this book over here. So during your free time, you can get to go through it and get to see how that works. All right, so first thing that you're going to do is select this bar. Okay, let me not select this bar. So what I want is these bars over here at the top bar over here went at a distance that is 0.25 times this dimension over here. So I'm going to draw a dimension and click outside to make it. Okay, then I'm going to select my line, select my dimension, click the equal sign, enter my value 0.25 times the times or the asterisks, and then 4600. And then press enter to have it there. I know for my guys using the ACI code, I think, who is here? Okay, can't see anyone, but if you're using the ACI code, that value would be about 0.3. So there isn't a very big difference. So we'll do the same. We do the same here. Remember, it's from the face of the support. Click outside, select your line, and then enter the same calculation, 0.3, 0.25 times this distance now, that 400, and then press enter. Okay, and then after you have that, now we can make a few changes here. So let's edit the sketch. Okay, so for this one, let's just edit the sketch here. And let these, for now, let this bar end at that point. Okay, and then click on finish. Okay, so select this bar. You would like to change the comment to probably top one. And then finish that. Then select this other bar. Mirror it about this axis. Okay, and after you've mirrored it, you can select it and just, just move it, and then you can have it extend or fit properly into that section. All right, then after that, you can minimize this. Okay, so with this bar, also do the same, edit sketch, select this grip and let it end here. Then click on finish edit mode. All right, then you are going to draw a bar. You're going to place a bar. So we're going to go to structure, rebar, we can draw by sketch this time. And then we can select our beam as a host. And then draw a rebar from that point over here to this point over here. All right, and then click on finish, edit mode. Okay, so you have that rib over there. So after you have this rib over here, the next thing now would be to show you a crank. So remember we did this in the columns, so this should be easy for you. So now just draw another bar from here to here, then ensure it's a continuous loop, close it, and then have that. Do the same on this end. Select this rebar, edit sketch, move it backwards just a little bit, and then I extend it there and place it. So I click on finish, and then you're good to go. So you can have that type of detail if you need. And then once you have that, please stop drawing on my screen. After you have that, now you can end it here. And then now click on escape and expand them more automatically. Okay, then after you have that, the presentation first and last, presentation first and last, and you are good to go. So we no longer need these detail lines, so we can just get to delete them and hide this in view. Okay, so with that, you can quickly annotate it. So use the multi-Rebar tag first that we created earlier. Use it. So select it, select tag. This time you don't need to make lots of changes to it. Then place it. And then with that, you can now use the tag by category and just tag these other bars as you wish. Okay. Okay. So you can have that. If you want to have an arrow here, you can go to edit type and then choose an arrow. Say arrow field 30 degrees, click on apply, and okay. And you can have an arrow for all of them. All right, so I'd like to end this session at this point. We have been here for almost 2 hours, some of us 20 minutes, some of us 10 minutes. And I think we have covered a lot of ground. Thank you for joining us. And I hope I'll see most of you tomorrow, or I'll see all of you tomorrow. And I also hope you found this session really, really insightful. So yeah, so there's that. So unless you have a question, I'm opening the floor to any questions, and then I'll get to adjourn the meeting at this point.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Captain?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, Isaac Wamala here from Kampala. I just wanted to inquire on the stage where you're doing the cover creation.
Yeah.
There was an option where you were deleting some of the default figures there. Can this be recreated after you've deleted?
Yes, you can recreate them.
Okay,
So
maybe you just
say you go to cover over here and then select these 3 dots. So you can delete any cover you want over here. These covers have been named after the exposure classes in the Eurocode. So you can see you have class 1, class 3, class 4. So you can get to see, I can get to read through the code and see which cover probably suits your design. So you can get to delete this one. just place your left click in it. Sorry. Say left click. Why can't I delete that one? Okay, so you can delete any of them. And then, so you can delete as many as you want. And then if for any instance you needed to have that cover back, you can just add it, give it the name, say XC blah 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 to something. Enter the setting as you wish, say 25, and then okay. So you can always create a new cover to replace it or just create a similar cover. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you. I got it.
Okay,
Good
I
evening,
can
engineer.
see Isaac. Hello.
Yes, hello. Yes,
Hello.
Captain.
I'm doing well. How are you, Godfrey?
I'm very fine, Captain. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to inquire, how can I do the structural analysis after the design? Like, for instance, I've designed, can I be able to do the structural analysis to see where it can fail from? Thank you. Then another thing, which version are you using for this? Which version of Revit are you using currently? Thank you.
Thank you, Godfrey, for that question. I don't use Revit for my structural designs. What I usually do is model in Revit, and then I'd go to analyze, convert my model to an analytical model and export it to robot. So if you are interested in the design part, you could model in Revit and export that model to a finite element analysis software for design and analysis. And then once you have everything that you need, you can come back to Revit with the same model and now continue detailing it. And I'm using Revit 2025. I plan on upgrading soon. So probably during the next sprint, I'll be on 2026. Godfrey?
So this is robot. That's what one you are telling me, engineer.
This is Revit. And say
This is
you can export. Yes.
Continue, please.
Continue, please.
Hi, Captain.
Hello.
Yes, please. Can you kindly continue with the explanation, what you're talking about?
So I was saying I would export my model to robot for design. I did not do the design in Revit.
Okay, so can I do the structural analysis to determine the failure or the strength of my structure?
Yeah, you can, but it's not something that I'd recommend you doing in Revit at this point.
Okay, please, thank you.
Okay, so for the person wondering why we have 17 links, the floor height was 3,300, so should be around 17. So Ejoko,
Yes,
the
good
last person,
evening,
then
engineer.
good evening, sir.
Thanks for the presentation. It's really an enlightening session. I have one question. For Revit 2025, how do we get the library? In case I installed and I didn't get the library, and I don't have an account with Revit, with Autodesk.
Okay, so I think said chat me. Let me see if I can probably help you get them.
Or
Okay.
It's Engineer Gatimo, the last question, please.
Okay.
Is there a way we can change those bends in the links? Because sometimes they come when they are too long, and there are normally some standards depending. So
Yes.
Is there a way we can
Uh,
change those families? Because when you are putting them, you just get the shape, the Rebar shape, and just like that. Now it is, even if you change the scale, they remain big.
yeah,
So
super question, Lutaya. So this is how you can get to change the dimension of these links here. So to do that, all you need to do is select your link, go to edit type, and then go to the dimensions here, and then under hook length, click on edit. All right. Then under here, edit, you have the different types of hooks that you have in Revit. You have the standard 90 degrees, standard 180 degrees, the startup tie on 35, or the seismic, all these ties. So you change the hook length over here. If you want a different hook length, change the hook length here for the type of Rebar hook that you want, and then click on OK, apply and OK. And if I made any changes, they would appear. I hope that's okay, Lutaya. You can get to try that out and then inform me how it goes.
okay, thank you. The other you've talked about the exporting thing, but
Yeah.
how come when you model those stairs from Revit and export them, they are not reflected in the other part? So do
In
we,
what other parts?
like in the other software, maybe robot, like they are not reflected that side. They won't
The whole
show up.
model is not
Even when you try to convert,
yeah.
when you're converting them to the idealized part, the idealized structure for analysis, you find that in that conversion process, for them, the stairs don't. It's only the other slabs and whatever, and the beams and the columns that convert, but these modeled stairs don't convert.
Sorry, just give me a moment. Are you saying you cannot see your staircase in this view? Lutaya?
No, there I can see them in the modeling part.
Yeah, so in the part 2.
In the part of
no,
exporting,
yeah.
In those analytical automation, like you're exporting them to the idealized kind of thing when you're preparing to export it to another software.
Yeah.
When these stairs are modeled, like they don't reflect that side.
Yeah, I get you. So probably how Revit, I'd like to see how the process in which you tried to export them before I answer that question. So probably you could text me and see, and let's see if you use the correct process. If it's an, how do you call it? If it's a persisting issue, we could find a solution for that. Is that okay, Lutaya?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll end the session at this point. Thank you for everyone for joining, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be detailing our roof structure, and it should be fun. The results look really, really good. So thank you for joining, and see you tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.